I was at a crossroads. I went through school thinking that I would become this super cool science dude with a lab coat, working at the U of A, maybe studying cells, cutting up cells, writing on what people had wrong with them, whatever disease it was. But I just couldn't make the grade. Wasn't doing it. I thought I could do all of it myself. So after failing and not getting what I wanted, I was at a crossroads. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really know what to say. All I knew was that I needed to find something to do that I would enjoy. So I ended up volunteering at a couple schools, and all of the teachers around me, they all said that, hey, you seem like you do a really good job at being an EA, an educational assistant. So I went to school again. Still not sure if this is the right thing to do, but I did a lot of prayer. I turned to God, asked, hey, if I told him like, hey, if this was something that he wanted me to do, that I would do it and I would get through. And yeah, that was my experience with the Crossroads. Well, the numbers as 861.
7 p.m. on a beautiful evening. Hello, Bethel Youth. It's Doug. I hope everyone's doing well given the circumstances. I pray that that we'll get through this and we're all in this together. Soon enough, I'm optimistic that we'll be able to meet again and you'll be able to meet more with your friends and you'll be able to participate in summer activities. Welcome to the Mystery Retreat, or should I say Mystery Puzzle. Now, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you about a journey. Let me tell you about a crossroads in my life. Now, it was one of those hot July days where it was well above 30 degrees. And in the midst of that, I heard a voice. I was just sitting on the couch. I heard almost like a loud whisper, and it was, go to church. Backstory on that is I haven't really been to church a whole lot. I've been for many years. I've been at Christmas time, and that was it. And that was just the family I grew up in. So church was very unknown to me, but I just felt like I had a decision to make, and I acted on it. I asked a friend, because I didn't have a car at the time, asked a friend, I feel like we need to go to church. Do you want to come with me? And he said yes. And I'm like, when? He's like, right now. I feel like we just should do this right now. I just instantly took up on that offer. So I went to church and I loved it and I never looked back. I met my best friends that I have today. I met my current wife, and I wouldn't be in the situation today if it wasn't for that. So God has brought me through a journey. God has brought me through some trying times. And many years later, I was baptized as an adult, actually this very week in May, back in 2009. So now, perhaps God is whispering to you in your life. Perhaps God is whispering in your heart, perhaps audibly, perhaps a whisper, perhaps in a dream. God could speak in a variety of ways. And whatever it is, God is going to bring you to knowing him more, and is going to refine you like a silversmith, as it says in the Bible. There's a clearing of the dross, and we could go over that details at a later time. So I encourage you to take a leap of faith and take a step out. Enjoy this virtual mystery retreat, and soon enough we'll have a real one next year, and we'll have activities before you know it. Now, there's one more item, there's one more clue that you're supposed to know, and that would be the military time. So you know the military time, it's 24 hours for 5 p.m. So what is the military time for 5 p.m.? That's your next clue.
Hi, Buffalo Youth. So I'm here to share a little bit of my testimony with you. So I have it written here, and just as an FYI. So growing up, I had a really weird childhood, which meant that my dad was kind of in and out of my life. I had a lot of instability in my home, and when I was in grade 8, my parents got divorced. Right before I went into grade 12, my mom got remarried. And so this kind of stuff just continued all the way until I was in high school, where I tried to go through every day looking like I had everything together, but inside I struggled really hard with questions about belief and trust and faith. So I tried doing things on my own and kind of figured that God would have answered my prayers by then if he was even going to. But even when I kind of thought I'd do things on my own, I still struggled and wrestled with big questions. Like, was I worthy enough to be loved by God? Especially when my dad couldn't seem to stick around. Did I believe God was good despite my life being kind of weird and in upheaval? And would I trust God even if things didn't quite work out the way I wanted or thought they would? I guess you could say that I was at a crossroads. And I kind of had these two questions. Would I trust that God is who he says he is, or would I turn and try to continue doing things my own way? And after a lot of stumbling and failing, like I'd say 5,251 stumbles and falls, which is a conservative estimate, I continue to choose and trust that God is who he says he is. I continue to believe that God is good, even when my circumstances are not. And I continue to choose the way of God, knowing that I am a worthy daughter of the King. So that's a little bit of my story. Hope you guys are having fun on the mystery treat. Bye!
So my testimony, like many, begins in a Christian home with Christian parents. I went to a Christian school all the way from kindergarten to grade 12. My dad worked at the church as the director of worship, so I knew all of the worship songs growing up, went to church every single week, still do, though now it's online. And yeah, so I was always surrounded by the church and by my church family and by God and stuff like that. And school has always come fairly easy for me. However, the relationships within school have been a lot more difficult. And so starting in grade 6, grade 7, junior high, I started to deal with some not so nice kids in my class, bullying, I guess you could say, and began to really doubt my self-worth, especially going into junior high, which is a really scary time, as many of you may know, when you don't know what's going on around you with your body or with your friends or with your school and stuff like that. So junior high was really hard for me. So mental health is something that I've struggled with for quite a while now. I'd say at least 7 or 8 years. And so in junior high, often in those times of loneliness and of sadness and despair and stuff like that, I would turn to God for help. And so I remember clearly this one night, I was sitting in my room, I had a breakdown, and I prayed to God, and I knew in that moment that God was there with me. I knew that God was surrounding me. So fast forward to high school, when I had to make the decision to go to a university. And so I was choosing between the King's University and between the U of A, the University of Alberta. And so in this time of crossroads, I turned to my friends, my family, and some of the teachers that I had grown really close with over the past 3 years. And everyone told me that I would succeed at the U of A. And so I went to the U of A. First year passed, and I was probably the most unhappy I've ever been in my entire life. One of my friends from high school ended up transferring to the U of A in my second year. And 3 weeks into the first semester, she pulled me aside and she said, "Bethany, I'm going back to my school. I hate it here." And I didn't realize that you were able to transfer schools in the middle of the school year. So I realized how unhappy I was at the U of A. For me, the biggest deciding factor was my vocation, my career. Everyone told me that I could and should become a pharmacist. However, in my heart, I knew that I had wanted to become a teacher, a junior high or high school teacher, for a long time, for a long, long time. And so I was faced with another set of crossroads. I could decide to continue going to the U of A and to pursue this dream that may not have been my own, but would pay really well and looked good. Or I could decide to transfer to King's in the middle of the school year, be the new kid once again, and pursue a completely different career path. And so in this time of crossroads, I turned to God. I prayed for a long time for wisdom about what I should do. I also had really good conversations with my parents about what they saw in me, what they saw in my skill set. And so eventually, I decided to go to the King's University, which is where I now attend. And I know in my heart that this was the right decision. As soon as I said to my mom that I wanted to become a teacher and that I wanted to transfer to King's, I felt this immense weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was like the Holy Spirit was there telling me that this was the right decision. So, go to King's now, and I'm loving every minute of it. So, that's where I am right now, and yeah.
Hey Bethel Youth, you may have noticed that we're starting to draw close to the end of our mystery retreat. But there seems to be one thing missing. You still don't have that 3-digit code to open the box that was within the larger box. I wish I could say that the code is 589, but that would be far too easy. I will say that you will find out the code soon enough, or maybe not so soon enough. I don't know, what time is it for you there? I seem to have close to 7, but I'm curious as to what time it is for you. Why don't you pause this video and email me or text me what time it is for you there? I would love to know. But for now, gotta Zoom.